Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, आप सबको मेरा प्यार भरा नमस्कार. Welcome to Leadership Insights with me, Prashant. First of all, as always, I would like to start this show by saying thank you to each and every one of you who is present here. And if you're watching this show recorded later, then thank you so much for being a part of this journey. As promised, in our journey to understand different perspectives of leadership, in our journey to create awareness of leadership, in our journey to understand what are those small, big elements of leadership that make the real difference, we have another amazing guest with us today. Now, today's conversation is going to be about an element, an aspect of leadership which is very critical and which has been gaining a lot of momentum and which has been getting a lot of attention for the past few years. Now, the element that I'm talking about is coaching. Now, when we talk about coaching, there is a lot of awareness that has been created in the last few years of its importance. Now, being a coach, I have seen the awareness growing day by day, month on month, year on year. But there is another thing that I've seen growing parallelly, which is confusion around it. There are a lot of questions that people have in their mind. There is that clarity that is missing in people, where people are thinking, what is coaching exactly? What is coaching? What is mentoring? Is that the same thing? Can I become a coach? If I can become a coach, how do I do that? Do I need to hire a coach? I am a leader, I am an entrepreneur, I have an experience of 10, 20, 30, 50 years. Can a coach really help me? I understand there are few people who are actually hiring coaches. I don't know what happens in those conversations. What do they talk about? And does this actually benefit them? Now, this and many more conversations are running in our mind. And I see this happening with a lot of clients out there who don't know exactly what coaching is, who don't know the impact of it, who don't understand the power of it. And I'm not judging you. The only thing that I'm trying to say is that since the awareness for the last few years has been so high, it has also caused a lot of confusion because there is information from everywhere that's coming our way. So we don't know what's actually happening and what is the power of it. That is why today we have gotten an expert with us. I decided I should reach out to a person who is an expert in coaching, who has studied coaching, who understands coaching, who practices it day in and day out, so that we can get some clarity. We can ask a few questions saying that, please help us understand what coaching is and what is the power of it and how is it relevant to life and how is it relevant to leadership. So, with that intention in mind, we have called our guest, Jaya, with us today. Now, she is someone who runs her own boutique executive coaching and coach education firm called Abhyudaya. Now, she's been doing this for years. Now, she is someone who is a member of board of directors of International Coaching Federation. She is one among the 100 best global coaching leaders awarded by the World HRD Congress and also been facilitated as a Young Leader Award by International Coach Federation. Now, thus, this speaks volumes about her experience and how good she is at what she does. She has also worked with some renowned corporates like BCG, Flipkart, Tata Group, PwC, and many more. So, without any further delay, we're going to get our guest with us today to answer our questions. So, please welcome Jaya Bhateja. Hi, Jaya. Very good morning to you.
Hi, Prashant. Thank you for inviting me here.
You're always welcomed. How are you doing today?
Very good. How have you been?
I've been good, Jaya. Thank you so much. So, Jaya, first of all, thank you for being here. And you must have seen the video that I posted yesterday about your introduction and the introduction to the whole agenda of today's conversation. And in the last couple of minutes, also, I've been speaking about term coaching. This is something that I am very personally attached to. I love a journey of being a coach. I love the journey of becoming a coach. But in this journey, as I said, I've also realized that there's a lot of confusion that people have around, and I would want to start with a couple of questions which are very basic, but which will set the right foundation for this whole conversation. So the first question in my mind for you, Jaya, is what is coaching?
Well, before I answer that, I want to ask you three questions, right? Number one,
Sure.
do you think you can become better than who you are today?
Yes.
Number two, do you feel the need for someone to listen to you without any judgment and without loading you with advice?
Of
Right? And
course.
number three, do you really think that I would really like somebody to invest in me? I would like somebody to make me better. I need help in becoming better. And if the answer to all these three questions is yes, then coaching is a profession which does that for you. Makes you better, works on your potential, And coaches basically are trained to listen to you without any judgment and advice. Their whole agenda is your success. So in nutshell, that's how I'll put coaching. Otherwise, going into technical definition becomes a little too complicated for people who don't know coaching. Does that make
Great.
sense?
It does. It does. I'm glad, and that's the power of it. We understand that questioning is a very powerful tool when it comes to coaching. And you displayed it right now. You answered in questions. So that shows the expertise that you have in coaching. And yes, I think the intention to serve people, the intention to grow as a person, the intention to get better than who we are right now, the intention of wanting somebody to invest in you and take that journey with you of your growth, of your success, of your failures is what we all look for, right? And there are various ways that we look for it. If I just think about it right now, family, even when we get married, we are looking for a partner who can actually be invested in our journey of success and failures, and we are invested in their journey of success and failure. We look for friends and we try to find people who we can invest in and who can invest in us emotionally so that we can bond and take a journey together, right? Well, sukh dukh ke sathi. So that's what we look for in any relationship, right? And you very well, you said it very well that a coach is a person who is intentionally invested in your growth, who is invested in your growth. That's a word that you used. Now, the question that comes to my mind is, who can be a coach? Can anyone be a coach? Like I spoke about family, friends, koi bhi ban sakta hai, or who can be a coach?
Well, there are different layers to that, Prashant. Number one, the intention to be devoted to somebody else's growth is a big reservoir that you need. I mean, you need to be someone who feel that I can devote my life to develop others, right? So that's the first requirement to become a coach. Number two, coaching is like becoming a doctor. You continue to learn. You keep learning because we are talking about dealing with human complex thinking, and the brain
Hmm.
is evolving. People are evolving. Issues are also evolving, and
Hmm.
the area that we deal with is emotional intelligence and neuroscience and so many energy and everything. So for someone to become coach, you need to be a lifelong learner. You need to be someone who loves
Hmm.
learning, who loves investing in themselves, and who do not mind saying, hey, I'm going to do this course to learn this. I'm going to do this course. I want to become better. And somebody who's passionate about their own learning. So, yes,
Hmm.
in technical terms, anybody can become a coach, but the depth comes by you wanting to invest in yourself, you being ready to devote your life to support others. And in that journey, there are hardships. There are, like any other career, it needs you, it demands a lot from you. And
Hmm.
that's also a career, obviously takes time to take off. I mean, I've seen people say, I've got certified, why am I not getting clients? Well, it's your
Hmm.
own also journey to learn how to get clients and to deal with your own barriers, right? If I'm coming from HR, I don't have a sales background, I had to learn that. And that was a
Hmm.
journey for me, right?
Hmm.
So to answer your question, yes, anybody can become a coach if they're ready to invest in themselves, they're ready to invest in others, they're happy to devote their life to develop others, and they love learning. That's how I'll answer that.
Great. And the question that comes to my mind, Jaya, you mentioned a very interesting thing where you said if a person is ready to invest in themselves. Now that's
Yeah.
that's very powerful, because what I hear a lot of people saying, a lot of people who intend to become a coach saying is that they have a very powerful intention to help people. They want to help people. They like talking to people. They like understanding people. They like serving. But what you're saying is that is important. Yes, it's required. Yes, but to go deeper, to actually be able to do all this better, you should first be ready to invest in yourself. Which means if you are somebody who's interested in your own growth, in you becoming better as a person, in you learning every day, is when you will be able to serve others better. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, the analogy of doctor, right? You just by
Mm,
doing MBBS, you don't succeed in that career. You have to continuously learn
mm,
about the kind of issues coming up. You have to keep adding education to your repertoire, and you have to continue to be humble in that journey of learning
mm,
and continuously developing. It's exactly like that.
mm. True, and when I reflect back to my journey of becoming a coach, and it's, as you said, it's a continuous process. I always tell people that I have come a long way, but there is a long way to go, and there is no end to it. So I also feel that as a person in the last 5, 8, 7 years, I have also constantly evolved as a person. And one thing that I would like to share with you, you can also tell me if you have gone through such an experience. There are times that we are also humans, right? As coaches, it's not that we have found nirvana and we are above everybody else. हम लोग ऐसे बैठ सकते हैं पहाड़ के ऊपर. That is not where we have reached, right? We are humans every day. So I also feel that initially as a coach, I used to be very hard on myself. I used to feel ki, I can't make any mistake. I cannot have any pitfalls. I need to be that perfect example of people to be like, this is who you should be like. This is, it's like, for everything there should be like Prashant aisa hai, Prashant vaisa hai. But I realized ki, it's such a tough journey because I can't be that person. I used to get frustrated. I had sleepless nights as a coach, and I'm like, how do I become that perfect person? I should be somebody who gets up at 4 in the morning, meditates, reads, works out, spends time with family, काम भी करता है, coaching भी कर रहा है, शाम को friends से भी मिल रहा है, बाहर भी जा रहा है, relationships भी manage कर रहा है, travel भी कर रहा है. And I used to get very frustrated. I was like, what the hell is happening? How I probably I'm not ready to be a coach, or I'm not somebody who can be a coach. So I used to take that journey. Then slowly, as the journey evolved, as I went through that journey, I spoke to people. I started understanding that it's not about perfection. It's a journey that we will continuously go through, which means we have to be easy on ourselves first. For me to be able to give my best to my clients, I need to be the best with myself. मैं अगर अपने आप को बेस्ट नहीं दे पा रहा हूँ, I will not be able to give best to others. So I'm just sharing these thoughts that are coming into my mind. Anything that's running in your mind right now?
Well, this is the journey. This is a part of everybody's journey where when you become a coach, people start looking up to you saying, hey, you should have all the answers. And how can you behave like that? And how can you get angry? And how can you say something like that? And that obviously puts a lot of pressure on us, right? I've gone through the journey myself. But then the journey is, how do you learn to respond to something like that, and how do you not let yourself affect by such comments and such people, and how do you create that insulation around you, say, hey, I
Hmm.
understand that why they are saying it, and how can I not let that impact
Hmm.
me, and how do I stay, my focus is clear, and it's okay. When you start understanding why people are saying what they're saying, it
Hmm.
just raises your awareness to a certain level.
It does. It does. And being vulnerable, as I was talking to you even before we went live, that be that honesty of being yourself, of understanding that you are not a perfect example of everything, and you don't need to be, uh, also helps you in your personal relationships a lot. Otherwise, they can go for a toss. Like I have moved away from my friends. I have seen some distances happening with my family, जहाँ मुझे लग रहा था कि my journey of getting better every single day was the way to live. और जो वो जर्नी नहीं ले रहा है, मुझे लग रहा है कि ये क्या कर रहा है, अपनी जिंदगी वेस्ट कर रहा है. He is not on a path of growth. So I started disconnecting with those people. But again, it's an evolution with time to realize that that's not how everybody would be, and they have their own journey. Now, the reason I bring this up, Jaya, is that in the context of leadership, I see a lot of leaders go through this journey. There are a lot of leaders who look at their people. Suppose, I have 10 team members who report to me. I categorize certain people saying that, ये तीन लोग हैं जिनको growth में कोई interest नहीं है. So in my mind as a leader, I've just let them go. I'm like, ये अपने पे ही चल रहे हैं. They don't need anyone. Nobody can help them. They're like a lost cause. Then there are three people who are coming to work and doing what they are supposed to do. They are meeting expectations and they are going. Then there are other four people जिनमें से एक है, एक सुपरस्टार है जो सेल्फ ड्रिवन है, सब कुछ कर रहा है, ग्रोथ पाथ पे है, और बाकी तीन लोग हैं जो भी कोशिश कर रहे हैं. So as a leader also, there are times where I would get biased about my own people, where I am not giving my best to all 10 people in my team. What do you have to say about this?
Well, one very essential thing that I learned in my journey is, don't keep, even if you at a moment gave up on people, come back to them, because people are constantly changing. We are constantly changing, and not let any baggage define anyone. And
Hmm.
that goes for ourselves also, right? We are also changing. There are few
Hmm.
views that we have about ourselves. I need to let go those only when I visit them,
Hmm.
right? There were time when
Hmm.
I used to think that, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that, but when I gave it a try, I felt, hey, I can do it. So I just have to shove that perception about myself. Same thing we have to do with others. We
Hmm.
start defining people by their incapabilities and habits. And the part of the journey is how do you push a refresh button again and again? How you go back? How you give it a try again? I've seen so many
Hmm.
people, defining themselves by so many things, and the wisdom is, hey, they are defining themselves because of something, and I'm someone, I need to give a chance to them. I don't want to give up. I don't want to define them by a particular experience. I don't want to
Hmm.
define them by their habits, because that's what I do with myself, and that's what I want to do for others. And that means a lot
Hmm.
of talking to yourself and say, hey, it's okay. Maybe he or she reacted in a particular way at that time, or maybe
Hmm.
there's a reason why people are not performing. There's a reason why people are doing this. Let me go and understand that reason versus stopping at just perceptions and tagging them and putting them in aside.
Hmm.
Does that make
You,
sense?
it does, it does. You mentioned something very powerful. You said that we sometimes define others by their incapabilities and habits. And
Yeah,
then after a while, you said that might be happening because I define myself by my incapabilities and habits. So, who I am as a person has a lot to do with how I treat others, how I lead others as well. So, if I get aware of this fact that I am a leader who defines others in a certain way, that is the time for me to question myself. Ki, do I also define myself that way? Am I being, again, it comes back to the same thing. Am I aware of who I am as a person first? Am I aware of my own self judgment before I become aware of judging others? Do I understand how do I judge myself? And once I become aware of my own self judgment of how do I see myself, how do I define myself, it'll become more clear about on why do I judge others the way I do and what do I judge others on. And then in that space जैसे आप कह रहे हैं is where that shift will happen, where I can make changes to it, right? लेकिन अगर मुझको खुद ही नहीं समझ आ रहा है कि what is my own self judgment, then I will not be able to figure out the ways of how am I judging others. Does that make sense?
absolutely. It's a parallel journey, as I always say. It's a parallel journey.
Mm.
While you're showing a mirror to your client, you have to see mirror for yourself too.
Oh, that's powerful. I think everyone. This is something that you should think about. Before you start judging yourself ab- on ways of how are you judging others as a leader, as a person. Start understanding how are you judging yourself, because if you're judging others for their incapabilities, if you're judging others for their habits, then you probably are somebody who is judging yourself also for your incapabilities and habits. So once you become aware of that, is when the transition and the shift can happen towards judging others differently and towards judging yourself differently. So that's damn powerful, Jaya. So that's something that we all need to think about personally, professionally. I think it applies anywhere and everywhere. Now, coming back to our conversation about coaching, Jaya. Now, the question that comes into my mind now is that when I think about coaching and when I think about leadership, there are two things that come into my mind, two parallel aspects that are running. One, as a leader, hiring a coach for myself. So I need to get coached. Second is coaching as a skill that I need to understand what coaching is, imbibe that skill of coaching so that I can go and coach my people. Now, these are two different parallels. One as a coach, taking that skill of coaching, and one hiring a coach. So, my first question to you, we'll try to talk about both of these. My first question to you is as a skill to imbibe and take in, what is the significance of coaching as a leader?
Well, again, I'll go back to the question. If you think you can become better, learn coaching. If you for yourself, if you think you have more potential that's not seen the light of the day, learn coaching. If you think that you can actually be much more powerful than who you are today, learn coaching. So that's really the significance of making yourself better. You have one life, give yourself a chance. I mean, um, y- I should not learn. I don't want to learn something, whether it is coaching or anything else, is stopping yourself from your own growth. So, coaching is a
Hmm.
process which actually sorts you out from your sorts you out in your mind, give you clarity, make you a better performer, make you a human, better human, and improves your relationship and your well-being. So if
Hmm.
so many agendas can be solved by just learning one skill, why will you not do that?
Why will you not? True. So let's take this example. So I'm a leader, okay, and I have a team that I lead. I have a business that I lead. I have never been trained on coaching. I've heard about it. I'm aware that that coaching is a skill, and there are a lot of people that are talking about saying that, "Ki, Prashant, if this is one skill that you learn, you will become a much better leader." Now the question that's running in my mind is, what do you mean by that? When you say I will become a much better leader for my people, for my organization, if I learn how to coach, what do you mean when you say that?
Well, the whole purpose of calling a leader, which has a word lead in it, means you inspire. You
Hmm.
basically get people to do things without pushing them. You create that
Hmm.
pull. You basically become a role model for people to follow.
Hmm.
How does that happen? So coaching helps you improve yourself, and it helps you create inspiration. It helps you create a pull strategy where people want to work for you, people want to do,
Hmm.
your words become important for people, right? Where people say, hey, I want your advice, where people want to follow you. So that's the
Hmm.
significance of being a leader and learning coaching, because that tells you few nuances, that teaches you few
Hmm.
nuances about yourself, that can
Hmm.
actually turn around your perception, that can turn around your performance, your leading skills, your inspiring skills. All that has been worked upon. Does that make
And
sense to
it does. You mentioned leading by example, right?
you?
This is also spoken about a lot, that a leader needs to be a role model because your people are a reflection of you. At least that's what I believe very strongly. If there is a client that I have who's like, I'm struggling with my people, I always get people who are not working well, people just come and leave, they're not serious about their job, then my question to them always is that, is it more about you than them? So they are a reflection of you, and that's what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that if you imbibe coaching as a skill, if you understand coaching as a skill, if you take that journey of understanding coaching as a skill, since it will take you on a path of self analysis, it will take you on a path of self growth, is when you will be able to lead better, because you will become a better example for your people. You will be able to conduct yourself better, you'll be able to understand yourself better, you'll be able to think better, act better. And when you become a better person in every area, of course your people will see that. You look at you as an example and they will follow it. So your people will also get better, hence their performance will get better, so your people will benefit, your organization will benefit. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Your team is as good as you are. Your organization is as good as you are. Your family is
Hmm.
as good as you are. So
Hmm.
we spend a lot of time analyzing external, saying, "Hey, this is
Hmm.
wrong. That's wrong. People do this. Husband do this. Bacha do this." But we never try to see there can be my blind spot, and how can I
Hmm.
contribute to make these things better. And if this
Hmm.
is not working, if this person is not performing, how can I get them to perform, versus saying,
Hmm.
passing a judgment saying they're not capable, versus saying, hey, can I
Hmm.
make them capable? Is there
Hmm.
something which can turn around things? So the thinking and the mindset is very different, and you basically take more control of the situation, say, hey, there's something I can do about it, whether it is about
Hmm.
my behavior, my communication, or something, that there is always hope, there is always something
Hmm.
can be done in every situation.
Great. And I'm just thinking about what we discussed earlier, where you mentioned that the way you lead, the way you judge others, your people, if you're judging them with your incapabilities or their capabilities, their habits, their results, their experiences, that's easy to reflect on. It's very easy for you to just answer a question saying that, okay, there are 10 people in your team, can you just write down what you think of each one of them and why do you think that? And you will get to know what are your basis of judging people, right? Now what you're trying to say and what I'm getting from it is that once I get aware of that, that is just one part of the journey. Once you learn coaching as a skill, once you go through that journey of understanding coaching as a skill and imbibing that whole skill, you will be able to make more sense of why are you judging the way you are judging. And more than that, you'll be able to understand the elements that you're judging yourself on. And once you get aware of what are you judging yourself on, who are you as a person, what are your capabilities, your incapabilities, this awareness, this combination of understanding your own judgment and understanding how you judge others becomes a powerful combination for you to lead your people better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'll just simplify that, right? It's basically a reflective process where you can analyze what you can change. Simple. Whether it is about yourself or whether it is about changing the conversation or applying a tool that can help in that situation, even if it is about others, right?
Hmm.
What can you contribute? How can you change stuff?
Hmm.
And how people need to hear things. At times, a lot of things, same things said differently, can work very well. So,
Hmm.
what is your control there?
Hmm.
That's basically how simply put it is, just looking at things little deeper and trying to see what can I do here versus stopping at the judgment. It's like a door. You've created a judgment, you've shut
Hmm.
the door, and now you're not opening it.
Hmm. So, if you are somebody who is interested in growing yourself as a person, as a leader, if you're somebody who's interested in understanding yourself and your people better, if you're somebody who's looking to look at the possibilities, like how Jaya said about the door which you can open, which you were probably not even looking for till now, rather than just judging and stopping there, then coaching is a skill that you need to imbibe. Would that be right to say?
I would go one step further to say, if you think you want to just leverage this life and enjoy your life while achieving your success, learn coaching.
That's a very huge statement to make. Why do you say that? Why do you say life? Why do you say it's so big as a skill to learn for the life to be better?
Well, it basically creates a lot of clarity at several dimensions of your lives. It's not only about team, it's not only about becoming better. It basically sorts you out in several places. I mean, you go through your own cleaning, you go through what are the things that are blocking me, why I've been just caging myself in so many beliefs and thinking and perceptions. And it basically makes you realize how powerful you are, and
Wow.
that unlocks something, that unlocks your career, that unlocks your potential, that unlocks your relationship. And we all deserve to live a very free and happy life. That's what we are here
Hmm.
for. We are not here to struggle. We are not
Hmm.
here to just make ends meet. We are not here to really uh, create so many perceptions and judgments. Nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to
Hmm.
live happily. And this is one skill that can actually, again, open. It's one key that opens a lot of locks, is how I'll put it.
Great. That statement is definitely powerful. That coaching is one key that opens a lot of doors. And what I can personally get from what Jaya is saying for me is that this is one skill that can help you understand yourself better, that can make you a better person, and it reflects in every area of your life, not just as a leader at work. It will reflect in every area of your life, is why I probably think she's saying that it's one key that can unlock a lot of doors. It's like that master key वो होटल में उनके पास होती है ना, like they just use one key to unlock all the doors. So this is probably that key that you need to unlock your own potential, to understand your own power of how powerful you are. And it also helps you to make other people realize who you are coaching, who you are leading in your family, in your friends, in your team, to understand how powerful they are, and it can help them to unlock their potential as well. So that definitely was powerful. So I think there is a lot of clarity that we're getting about why coaching is important. Now, coming back to the question of what is coaching, this is running in my mind that there's a lot of confusion that happens, Jaya, that people say that I have been a master or an expert of a certain domain for so many years. For example, say somebody who is a bowling coach, somebody who's a batting coach, somebody who is a voice coach. There are a lot of coaches out there who are a very specific domain coaches, saying that I work on voice, I work on batting, I work on catching, I work on bowling, I work on football, or I work on hockey. Now, you see a lot of people who become these coaches are people who have played that sport or who have taken that journey for 10, 20, 30 years. Or so we are like, okay, he understands that domain, so that person will tell me ki bat aise pakdo, hockey aise pakdo, ye aise karo, wo aise karo, right? Now there is also a lot of confusion that happens around this. And I understand this as a coach, but I would want you as an expert to share your point of view on the fact that, do I need to be an expert in a certain domain to be a coach in that domain?
See, the thing is that context helps you to look at things at much minute details, right? So the reason I'm in leadership coaching or behavioral coaching is because I've looked at behavior at a very, very different, deeper lens because of my own experiences. So the domain knowledge helps you to see things more minutely and gets you to be a more credible person for that particular thing. So let's say batting coach has seen batting to a very psychological level, very deeper
Hmm.
level. And
Hmm.
hence the questions that come out of them would be much deeper than someone who's looking at the field from very outside. So it's
Hmm.
definitely helpful, and that's the reason why coaches define niches, so that for people also it becomes easy to say, "Hey, what kind of help I want,
Hmm.
what kind of am I, what domain." Like yesterday somebody was talking to me saying, "Hey, I want to get into trading full time, can you help me?" And I said, "That's not my field." So I can
Hmm.
definitely ask you a few questions, but I'm not a wealth coach, or I'm not a coach coming from finance background. So I can ask you a few questions definitely, which will help you to reflect deeper. But if you
Hmm.
need more advice on that field, then go to a domain expert. So it also depends, and there's always a blend of advice and questions that we need in a conversation. So it certainly helps, but that is not to discount the power of coaching. Somebody can really sell through a conversation, which is, let's say me not having a finance background, I can still help that person. I'm happy to give it a try, but I don't want to claim that. Definitely.
Great. So what you're essentially saying is that if you understand that domain, if you have expertise in that domain, it sets you a better context because you can go into certain details from your own experience and understanding because you've gone through that journey. Having said that, it does not mean you cannot help that person. You can still go ahead and coach that person and help them to seek a certain level of clarity that they
Yeah.
can gain from coaching. But if you have domain expertise, then obviously it will help you to go into more details. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a top up, right? It's an add on. So I know someone who's basically doing coaching for real estate.
Hmm.
Now he's gained expertise in that field because he wants to deal with certain kind of people, and he's doing it for doctors.
Hmm.
So doctors
Hmm.
plus real estate, and he's building a niche. So he had to first learn that domain to be able to coach.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
till the time you don't know the nitty-gritties, the basics, the pain, the challenge of that
Hmm.
field,
Hmm.
you can ask questions, and definitely a good questions, but definitely it's a
Hmm.
top up and a good add-on.
Hmm. And as you said, it helps you understand that context, which means you'll be able to understand their language.
Yeah.
What are they saying, and what do they actually mean by what they're saying? Otherwise, they're just words flying to you where you're like, I don't know what you're saying. I don't understand. I'm not able to make sense of most of the things that you're saying. So that makes it difficult for you to even know what to ask next, where to take this forward. But if you have an understanding of the context, you'll be able to gauge more because you'll be able to understand more.
Yeah, you understand the challenges basically, and the language, the vocabulary, right? That's very, very
Hmm.
important. Right? And if somebody is
Hmm.
telling me, "Hey, in medical line, this is the challenge we have," if I relate to it, I'll be able to respond better.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, if I'm somebody who is an expert in a certain domain, I am looking to become a coach in that domain, great, it'll help you. If I am somebody who is a coach, who has learned the art of coaching, who has been practicing coaching for a while, now there is a domain that interests me where I feel I need to move into, then it would always be good for me to go and get some expertise in that domain, understand that domain, learn about that domain, so that I can contextualize my coaching, my whole journey with my clients much better. Right?
Absolutely. It's very
Okay.
helpful. You can always go and work in that area, gain some experience, gain some perspective, so that you know what language to speak. Right? Language
Speak.
is extremely important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like if I'm talking to a person who speaks, Spanish, and I don't know Spanish, how do I
Yeah.
respond to that, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
almost like that.
True. True. Now coming to leadership and coaching, Jaya. Now a lot of people also have these thoughts in mind, saying that I've heard a lot of leaders go for coaching. I understand that a lot of leaders are actually hiring coaches, but I want to understand what happens in those conversations. What do you guys talk about, and what situations were the leaders in when they came to you for coaching, and how did coaching help them? How did you take them from point A to point B, and what is that point A and point B? So can you share some examples with us, telling us that this is what leaders bring to coaching conversations, and this is how coaching helps them to move from this point to this point.
Okay, so the thing is that coaching is helpful when you're successful and you have potential to do more, right? So if you are already great and now you're hitting a ceiling saying, hey, how can I become better than this? Coaching can really be a very, very fast process for your growth. So basically, when there is you've reached a place of stuckness and lack of clarity, and how do I go from here? Coaching helps. So, for example, some of the leaders come to us and say, "Hey," and it also helps you deal with the how of things. So, let's say I know I need to be more assertive. I need to say no more, but how do I do that? Because I have this challenge. Because I'm very, very, very convinced with the way of my communication. So, the coach helps you look at the other perspective. The coach supports you to look at the how of things. How do how do I become more? How do I increase my presence? How do I become more assertive? How do I manage relationships while managing performance? How do I become more inspirational? How do I,
Mm,
how do I really take decisions when there is so much of ambiguity? How do I
mm,
take more risk when I'm not a someone who wants to take too much of risk?
mm,
So many complicated how issues are
mm,
what coaching can solve. It also helps you at situations where situations are not in your control, right? When there's
mm,
so much of things happening around you, nothing is in your control. Coaching helps you find some way out in that ambiguity. So that's the reason it deals with very complex situations,
mm,
thinking, and behavior problems, which not really problems, but behavioral complications where you want to find a way, but you don't know how. And that's where the coach can
mm.
support.
So from the list of situations that you mentioned, can you just pick up one or two and just tell us a little more about it? For example, let's say that I'm somebody who's not comfortable saying no to people. I know I need to, but I'm not. So what does a coach do? How does a coach help me?
So see, the coaching is actually a reflective conversation to say, hey, if you're saying you find it hard to say no, why do you think it's hard for you?
Hmm.
And then we go deeper into saying, okay, Prashant will say, I don't want to say no because I don't want to hurt anyone.
Hmm.
All right. So do you think by saying no, you will hurt people? So I posed a question to Prashant to reflect on that question now. And then Prashant responds, no, no, it's not that if I say no, have, or maybe I'll ask a question saying, have, whenever you have said no, did people feel hurt? Did you lose
Hmm.
those relationships?
Hmm.
And then Prashant says, no, not really. But there are
Hmm.
some situations where I find it difficult to say no. I have filtered the problem. Okay. So what
Hmm.
are those situations? Let's look into that. And then
Hmm.
I take Prashant to that problem and situation to analyze what really happened that time. Just go deeper into yourself to see what really
Hmm.
happened. And then Prashant comes out and say, wherever I have to deal with authority, I have a problem.
Hmm.
Okay, now what is it about authority that makes it difficult for you? All right.
Hmm.
Now I don't want to, I have always been taught never speak up in front of people who are more in experience and age.
Hmm.
I had that barrier. Now I'm going to deal with that. So, we go deeper into the iceberg model,
Hmm.
and get people to realize that the structure or the mental models they have made for themselves to automatically take decisions are somewhere
Hmm.
flawed. There are a
Wow.
lot of places where I think that if I say no, people will not like me. If I say no,
Hmm.
people will get hurt. If I say no, people will never come closer to me. If
Hmm.
I say no, I will lose some good relationships. But all
Hmm.
that is wrong. All that
Hmm.
is wrong. So coaching is a process, reflection process to go deeper into those belief system and break them, throw them out. They are
Hmm.
not useful for you. There's always a way in which you can say no, where people you do not lose anything, but actually you gain more trust and value
Hmm.
in the relationship, because that's
See,
what
yeah.
other person is also struggling, right? So then how do you gain that
Hmm.
edge? By actually just saying things in a way which doesn't disrupt anything for you,
Hmm.
rather it supports you.
So,
Is
and
it making
that's very powerful. Yes, Jaya, I'm parallelly thinking about what you're saying. Now, as a leader, I'm trying to think from an audience perspective. As a leader, what's running in my mind right now when you're saying this? What's running in my mind is that the challenge at a surface right now to me seems like I have a challenge with saying no. And I have defined my own reasons for it, which are again at a very surface level. But if you hire a coach, if you talk to somebody who is a skilled coach, that person will help you move deeper into understanding what it actually is. It could be you spoke about mental models. It could be something that you have learned or heard or accepted as a fact probably 30 years back, but you will not go back on that journey on your own. You're just looking at it at surface saying that I have a challenge saying no and I'm not able to say no to people. You somehow manage through that challenge and you move forward, or you probably live with it saying that I probably respect people enough. I don't say no to elders, or I don't say no to leaders who are superior to me, or I don't say no to ladies. A lot of things come to people in their mind, and they've just accepted that as a fact. A coach, what you powerfully said, that will help you realize things deeper, help you understand your mental models, help you help you to take you to that depth of that root cause कि ये आ कहाँ से रहा है. It's not just this situation, it's not just for today, it's not just for tomorrow. Where is it coming from? And that shift needs to happen at that root level. That is what coaching does powerfully. It takes you to that root and make the shift at the root. जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि for you to change the fruit you'll have to change the root. अगर नीचे सब कुछ सड़ रहा है तो fruit ऊपर सड़ेगा. It might seem like that I'll just pluck this fruit which is not good, which seems bad, but you will then see other fruits coming also which are bad, because the challenge is at the root. And that
Yeah.
is what a coach does beautifully. And you mentioned that very powerfully. I think mental models and going deep, I think these two things is what leaders should think of. That if you think you have a challenge, if you think that you're stuck somewhere, you feel there are situations that are ambiguous, you have challenged leading your people, you've challenged understanding people, you've challenged inspiring people, you've challenge saying no to people. And she also said something very powerfully earlier, where she said, if you're somebody who wants to be successful, if you're somebody who is ready to work on your growth, if you're somebody who wants to move forward, because that intention is very important. If you're somebody who doesn't have that, then coaching can't help you. How much can a coach do for you? If you're somebody who's looking to be successful, who's already successful, or you're looking to move to greatness, then a coach can help you identify why you're facing the challenges that you're facing, and help you by taking you to that root cause, identify those mental models, and then make that shift. So that's very powerful, Jaya. I'm just, as an audience, मेरे दिमाग में जो आ रहा है ना कि what are you saying and how can I relate to it as a leader. I think this is what I'm getting, that if I have challenges, if I'm ready to grow, if I am serious and honest about my success, and I want to understand the root of my challenges and fix them, I need a coach. Would that be
Yes.
right to say?
Well, I think, yeah, you need to be interested in your own growth. It's like coach is like a walking partner, and if you're not interested to walk and you want the coach to walk, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, then the coach needs a coach, because they will be like, you're dragging me down. How can I pull you up?
It doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Anything that you remember, Jaya, from any recent coaching conversation that you've had, something interesting that's coming in your mind, or if it comes to your mind sometime later, if you could share it with us, where you could tell us that this is the most common situation I see leaders in, and this is how coaching moves them, and this is how it helps them to become more powerful or more aware.
So the common pattern is that we're trying to inspire the team without working on ourselves. We think it's an external journey. We think I need to do things to do stuff, but it's really about being who you are, who you are as a human being, who you are as a person. If you're someone who's a struggling parent and you're trying to inspire your team, well, you have to think about it. There is something that you need to work on it. You're not able to have a conversation with your child, you will be equally struggling to have a conversation with someone else, because all the barriers are internal, right? So if
Mm.
so the common problem I see is that everybody wants, just tell me what to do, just people do
Mm.
this and people do that, and there's a problem, and the young generation is like this, so everything is very externalized. And that's very common. So the moment you make them realize that, hey, you're powerful, you have
Hmm.
control, there are ways to do things, then things start shifting. So that's very, very common, I see in every conversation.
So that shift from doing and being, from asking you for a prescription saying that, Jaya, what do I do for this problem to be solved, to shift to saying that, who do I need to be for this problem to get solved.
Yeah,
So I think, that's what you're trying to say, that most leaders are looking for answers in terms of what they need to do, so they're looking at things externally.
externally.
But there are very few who are looking at things internally, saying that, what do I need to change in myself? What do I need to be? Who do I need to be differently, so that
Yeah.
my externals will automatically align with who I am being? Is
Yeah,
that
and
right?
I feel, yeah, I mean, and I see a lot of, in fact, most of my clients are willing to look at themselves as being, but they just don't have the direction. They just don't have that
Hmm.
guidance. They don't have the process to do that. And that's what coaches bring to you, because I've always seen, when there's a journey started, there may be resistance in the beginning, but when you start showing them the power of it, they're very
Hmm.
interested. They want to work on it. They want to come to the sessions and have conversations. So I've seen that impact has to be created soon enough for them to start going on the journey to say, hey, I want to go. And I've
Hmm.
seen, when you say that, hey, this is about your being, they actually take it very well. So which also tells me that we all want to develop, we
Hmm.
all like development. We all want to be better. It's just that we don't know the way. We don't know the guidance of it.
Hmm. And a coach provides that. Coach becomes that guide who takes them on that journey.
Yeah, a good coach, I would say.
Yeah, good coach would take them on that journey. Jaya, have you had instances? I'm sure you have had. Probably, I'd rephrase the question. Do you remember any instances where your clients have come back to you with a lot of excitement, saying that, Jaya, this is a challenge that we dealt with in the last conversation, and I could actually apply, the change, and I see the results, I see the impact.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, coaching only works when you take action. It's not only about just coming and having conversations. It actually becomes a spa at times that, oh, hey, nice, somebody's listening to me. Let me just go on, blabber and all that, which is great.
Hmm.
It's part of the process. But it also demands you to take action. So if you have not taken action after 4 sessions, you'll say, oh, well, how has coach helped me? Because you've not
Hmm.
taken the action, right?
Hmm.
It's like, okay, you've
Hmm.
taken the diet plan, but you have not applied it. Then how does that work?
That true.
Right, so then I have seen victories only when there has been application, and that's true for anything. I mean, you can't
Hmm.
just sitting on the couch and say, hey, I've done a marathon, or I've gone for a walk for 10 kilometers or 2 kilometers or 1 kilometer. It's only when you get up, when you
Hmm.
take action, you see that there is some merit in the conversation we are doing.
Yeah,
So
so
it's a
in
lot about application.
lot about application. So you're saying when coaching conversations happen, the reflections that we're talking about are happening. This understanding of who you are is happening, but parallelly there is also understanding happening of what you need to do to shift and become the person who you're looking to become. If that application is missing, coaching conversation is not just creating that magic for you. You can't just sit on a chair with somebody and somebody listens to you for an hour and suddenly you are a better person, better husband, better father, better leader, better employee. Unless and until you go and apply what you have realized in those conversations, coaching will not work for you, because it's all about application after the reflection. Only reflection without application will not serve any purpose.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's good to be clarified about what you want. If you really in a space where you just want somebody to listen to you, there are other professions which can help you. Therapy, counseling are good professions which are very, very helpful in releasing thoughts and cognitive issues and all that.
Hmm.
Coaching comes with the action. I will listen to you, but you'll also have to take action, and that's why it's future oriented, it's solution oriented. So I know that till the time my client will not take action, things will not change.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So I have to also distinguish myself from a therapist, and that's why a very clear a competency that we practice is action planning. What's the action? How
Hmm.
will you apply? Even if it is about communication, even if it is about
Hmm.
saying no, what will you do in the next conversation? And when they come back and say, "Did you try that?"
Hmm.
Right? And how did that go? And then they come back saying, well, I did not try. or they will say, I tried it, but there was a lot of problem inside. I tried it and nothing happened. I tried and actually gained more trust. So whatever it is, let's apply. It's okay to
Hmm.
fail. It's okay to
Hmm.
not. It's okay to for you to come and tell me that, Jaya, this did not work. I'm okay to hear that, but I'm not okay to
Hmm.
hear that you did not even try. Because if you're not trying, then you will tomorrow say, well, it was nice conversation, but nothing moved in your life because you did not apply.
Hmm. Hmm.
So a lot of times coaching gets labeled because the client did not take action. And
Yeah.
coaching is a lot about action orientation, planning, and really applying what you have learned. Otherwise, nothing changes on the ground.
True, and it's an important lesson even for coaches out there who are listening to us that if your coaching conversation is mostly about questioning and listening and it's not action oriented, I have faced this. Jaya is sharing it that she has also seen this happening that you will have clients coming back to you saying that coaching is not working. But what's actually not working or why is it not working is because there is no action planning that's happening, and that's a very key part of that whole coaching process. It's not just about reflection, it's not just about questions, that's important, but you need to plan actions, and your coaches need to go and apply and come back to you saying how was their journey of applying that, what worked, what did not work.
Yeah,
Right, Jaya?
absolutely, absolutely.
Great. Now, talking about barriers, Jaya, a lot of leaders out there, I'm sure you would have spoken to a lot of leaders and you would have heard about a lot of limiting beliefs that they have in their mind, barriers that they have in their mind about coaches or, about hiring a coach. We call about people on the fence, कि इस side जाऊं कि इस side जाऊं. What do you think is keeping leaders on the fence? What are the barriers or say top three barriers that you have observed that stops leaders from hiring a coach, even though coaching can help them big time?
The biggest barrier is lack of understanding, lack of knowledge around what it is, because a lot of times the coach as a word itself is very delusionary. People think that I will be instructed, I'll be told to do things which I know I'm doing things at my best
Mm,
pace, and I don't want somebody to come and start teaching me what to do. So the first barrier is you think it's a teaching. There are times when people don't have clarity about the process. Second is, really around investment. Why should I give? Why should I pay for advice? I can get, and how can a stranger give me an advice? How can somebody
mm,
who doesn't know anything about my world can make me better? So that's a very, very big barrier, because people think you need to know me to help me, and we don't want to
mm,
go to people who know us, because we have another barrier that, oh, they'll come to know more about what's going inside. They'll
mm,
come to know my weakness. So both sides we are stuck, right? We don't want to go to a stranger, and we also don't want to go to people who know us. And the third barrier is money investment, especially from individuals. They don't want to pay for it because that's not our culture had been, right?
mm,
And people find it expensive because they start. I don't know. There are so many views. There are so many beliefs around it that it's expensive. But we don't see the value of it. We don't see that
mm,
something that I've been stuck with for last 30 years can get unlocked through this process. And what's the value
mm,
of that? Right?
mm.
So a lot around lack of awareness, a lot around, people will give me advice, and a lot around money is there are these are common barriers I see.
And what do you have to say to people who are, who can relate to it right now, saying that Jaya, these are the things running in my mind?
I would say give it a chance. It's for your life. Give it a chance. Try it out. I have not met people who have given it a chance and tried it and applied it and then came back and say it didn't work. Not even a single person. In fact,
Hmm.
most of the people who go through my courses have 100% come and told me, "Wish I had known this earlier.
Earlier.
Wish I had known this earlier in my career. I would have avoided so many mistakes. Wish I would have known early in my life so that I would have lived my life very differently." So, not even a single person who's come back and said, this is crap. I've never heard that, if you have honestly given it a try. So I would advise that you give it a try. There are a lot of coaches who are in practice. They're willing to give sessions for free. In fact, coaching also makes you very generous at a lot of level. I've
Hmm.
seen a lot of coaches ready to help, give free sessions. Leverage them, leverage them. And our
Hmm.
school also, for example, we train coaches. There are coaches who are trying to practice.
Hmm.
To start from there. If you're not willing to spend at this moment, just try. Give it a try. Write to
Hmm.
us. We'll be happy to connect with coaches who are willing to practice and they're willing to give you some time. And somebody's giving you time from their own life is a big gift.
Hmm.
It's not always about money exchange, and that's what we all need to understand. That hey, somebody has decided to devote their life to for others' betterment. There can't be any better noble profession than that.
True. So anyone who is looking for a coach who wants to experience that journey of coaching, please reach out to Jaya. Can they reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, you can write to me on LinkedIn. I will be very happy to connect with coaches who are in practice and are willing to do it for free, or even if you're ready to pay. Have coaches. I mean, we are a school, so there are several coaches we have in our community. We'll be very happy to connect you with them.
Great. And if you have any questions about coaching, if you want to understand more, the questions that are running in your mind, like one question that I see here is, Jaya, what's the difference between coaching and mentoring?
So, Prashant, coaching is about you finding your own answer, and coach is basically facilitating that process of asking deep questions, creating that space, not judging, not advising, creating a container for you to explore your thoughts without any barrier. Mentoring is when you reach out to someone who has walked your path. So let's say if somebody's worked in event industry, will be able to tell me more about events, and it's more around doing, do this, do that. And there is a lot of wisdom also in mentoring. So mentoring you generally take from people who have walked that path and you need advice. Coaching
Hmm.
has less advice or no advice, where we provide you space to think and unleash your potential. So actually, combination of both works very well. I suggest everybody should have a mentor and a coach both, because coach will give you that
Hmm.
space to think better, take out your own potential, unleash your own knowledge and wisdom, and the mentor can give you advice that can be extremely helpful. So that's the difference between mentoring and telling. The simple way is also to understand mentoring is more about telling, coaching is more about asking.
Hmm. So, from what you're saying, if I understand it right, you're saying if you are looking for answers which are gaps in knowledge, then a mentor can help you because you want somebody to tell you what to do, and you're looking for knowledge gaps to be filled, what you don't have right now. But if you're looking to seek more clarity, if you're looking to understand more about what to do, what not to do, where are you going with this whole journey, then a coach will actually help you seek that clarity and will help you decide on where are you going with this and what do you need to do for it. Does that make sense?
That also, plus mentor will tell you what they have done. Coach will actually get you
Hmm.
to discover who you are and what you should be doing it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Unfortunately, we are in a culture where we depend too much on what other people are doing, and let me
Yeah.
follow that and let me copy that formula, and then I'll be successful because
Hmm.
that person has been successful by doing that. But that's not true, because that actually that person also has barriers, that person also has limiting beliefs, so you're copying that also with that process, right? You're not
Hmm.
realizing that you can be much more successful than your mentor. You don't
Hmm.
realize that you can be much more powerful than your boss, your relationships, your surroundings. You're basically just being very conservative in terms of copying somebody else's formula. So you can copy people's formula, but you can't they can't go through your journey, you can't go through your journey. Everyone comes with different sets of emotions, beliefs, way of looking things, childhood experiences. And
Hmm.
it's very important that you leverage your journey, what you have gone through, what you have
Hmm.
seen, what you have got cannot be ever same with anybody else. So it's very helpful to take advice from mentors. You should, as I said, you should have mentors and you should have coaches, but
Hmm.
understand they both play a different role in your life.
True, and again, as somebody, as a student, as a learner, when I think about what you're saying, and I'm trying to put myself in that place, saying that I have a mentor and I have a coach. This is how I see it in my mind. That I go to a mentor, I seek advice, I take that knowledge, that portion is done. Then I go to a coach, where the coach takes me through a journey where I'm reflecting on everything that I got from the mentor. I'm reflecting on things that I have learned through my own life journey. So a combination of both is probably helping me find a better solution, a better way forward, because I'm not just depending on the mentor, and I'm also not completely depending on only my journey. I'm making a combination of both, and the coach is helping me reflect on both and come up with a solution. Would that be a right thing to do if I'm thinking about it that way?
You can say that. I would say coach basically takes you through much deeper journey of you realizing your own potential in simple words. right? So there is much beyond what you see and what you do. There is so much power we all hold. It's just that we never realize it. Coaching is a
Hmm.
process to help you realize that power, and nothing can be more powerful than what you realize for yourself. So if you have to reflect back on your own life experiences, look about those two or three instances where you felt so powerful that no advice could have helped there. You
Hmm.
listen, you went against all the advice of people around you. You did things that your heart said you should do, where everybody was against you. Think about those moments. That will give you instances of places how powerful we all are. And coaching is a process to make you realize and see those potentials, see those strengths, and say, hey, you don't have to. Because the issue happens when we listen to advice too much, we are also copying their limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
Somebody
Hmm.
will tell you, I have tried this, never do this.
Hmm.
And you never know, by doing that, your life can become very different. So
Different.
the problem with some of the advice is that it basically, mentor is also passing on the limiting beliefs that they have about themselves,
Hmm.
right? And it, life can never be about copying formulas, right? If somebody's
Hmm.
done things a certain way, doesn't mean it'll work for you in a certain way.
As
And a
well.
lot of times our advice is always hindsight. We always tell people things that we have not tried. We always tell people about things that, that not worked for me. So I'll always say, hey, you should never do this because I've never done it.
Never done that. Yeah, and that's very powerful. That when you learn from somebody, when you copy from somebody, although the intention is to just take that knowledge and wisdom, but what you're also taking is their limiting beliefs, because they did what they did, or they did not do what they did not for their own reasons, for who they are, right? But you are a different person, so you could have handled it differently. You can do things differently. So I think a coach brings that awareness to you of, what, who you are. And another thing that you said was very powerful, is to reflect back on our own life and think of instances where we have gone against certain advices, where we have just heard to our heart and we have just done things which did not seem right to the world, but nothing could have changed that for us. And that is one of the most powerful instances of our life when we look back right now. And that's where our power comes from, right? So, a very powerful statement, Jaya, that we would like to end this conversation with is that if you are looking to understand your own potential, if you are looking to unleash your own potential, if you are ready to go deeper and know what power you actually hold, what capabilities you actually hold, how can you do things much better for yourself as a person, as a leader? How can you give more and serve more by being more as a person and as a leader? Then coaching is for you. Coaching can help you become that person, understand who you are actually and what you're capable of. That is the power of coaching. So that's what I would say, Jaya. Any last comments from you about coaching, about leadership, that would help us end this conversation?
Well, I would say this same thing, that you have one life. You don't know what you will become in next life, if you believe in the next life. So the clock is running. You have at least lived your 20-30% life, if you're at a very young bracket, or 50 or 60, whatever age you are. It's your choice to see how do you want to live rest of it. So it's
Absolutely.
totally in your hand, it's totally in your control. Today we don't have lack of resources, we don't have lack of anything. If you're watching this conversation, which means you're quite equipped with technology and quite you have abundance of resources. It's just the will and the choice you need to make to invest in your life. So again, clock is ticking, take your decisions.
Great. So we have one life, clock is ticking. We need to make our decisions. So with that powerful thought, thank you so much, Jaya, for being here today. Wonderful conversation, very deep
Thank
conversation.
you.
I think all of us are much clear about what coaching is. We are much clear about what role coaching plays in making us better people and making us better leaders, and what impact it can have. So thank you for bringing that clarity to us. And thank you everyone who is watching this show right now. And also thank you everyone who's going to watch the recording. Your support is important, because that's how we are moving ahead. That's how we are taking this whole mission forward and bringing awareness about leadership. And Jaya has also joined us and shared her wisdom with us today. So thank you for that, Jaya. And thank you, everyone. I'll see you next Saturday once again with another amazing guest, and we'll have more conversations about leadership and those small things that matter the most. Till then, take care. Have a good weekend.